Hello, everybody. It is the Enlightened One, and here my co-host over that way. Oh, no, that way. That
Craig
way.
the Gray here with you.
And we are here talking about another ranch. The famous ranch is the Skinwalker Ranch, and we're here to talk about the paranormal entities of the Stardust Ranch in Arizona.
Stardust. Sounds like a nice place. Stardust Ranch. Doesn't that sound nice?
Yeah, it does. It makes you just
It
feel like,
sounds like something at Disneyland or something. Like you want
or
to go to
remember like
Stardust Ranch.
Rancho Relaxo from The Simpsons?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
come on down to Stardust Ranch.
Just
We're
gonna
going
have
to
a
take
nice
care of your
time.
needs
Look
and
up at
give
stars.
and what?
Look up at stars.
While we give you back massages.
Hmm.
That sounds nice.
But actually, kind of scary. What we're going to talk about?
So
Pretty freaky stuff.
I think this takes place in like 1997-ish. It starts. Am I correct?
Makes sense. They live. Yeah,
They
that's
sell
right.
it in 2016, right?
Yeah, they lived there for about 20 years. So
Yeah.
1996, 1997, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So right around there. So Joyce and John Edmonds, they move into Stardust Ranch around 96, 97. And so they're moving all their stuff in, and they they they've had a long day. They've got all their stuff in, and John decides that he wants to kind of kick back, and it's enough for today. We're going to work tomorrow, the next day, and start working on that and get the rest done. And so he decides he's going to have a beer and enjoy his fruits of his labor. And he sits on his rocking chair in the front of the house and cracks open a cold one. And he's kind of sipping his beer, and he sees some kind of rustling off there in the field. And it comes a little bit out, a little bit further, and there's a man holding some sort of machete or something. So he comes and gets his gun, his revolver, and meets the guy, and he asks him, "What are you doing with the knife? What are you doing with the machete?" He's like, "Well, I used to work for the other people, and so we're doing what?" And the guy was like, "Well, I'm a monster hunter." He's like, "What? You're a monster hunter?" He starts laughing at the guy. He's like, "Well, your services are no longer needed here."
Big mistake.
Yeah. And so the guy says, "Well, you'll be sorry,"
Mm-hmm.
as he throws the machete into the ground and walks away. And that, I guess he kind of was sorry after what happens next. So a little bit of time passes, and he notices that, oh, I forgot to mention that this is a ranch for horses.
Also,
And,
we're in Phoenix. No, we're near Phoenix in
we're in
Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, near Phoenix.
This is in Arizona, and it's a ranch for horses. And also, he wants to rehabilitate sick horses as well.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. And this is his lifelong dream.
I wonder if you rub stardust into their wounds to make them better.
Or make them worse. So he notices that his horse stalls have kind of been ripped apart every once in a while. The first, and he's like, this is weird, and so he keeps fixing it, and he one night he's sitting in the house and he's just kind of watching TV, and he starts hearing some humming noises. Can you do some humming noises for me as I do this? And so he's hearing these humming noises, and he kind of is trying to get through the night, and hits the morning. He wakes up in the morning, and there's and he gets outside, and
Sorry, I'll stop.
That's enough. He gets outside, and he sees devastation. his one of the posts had been ripped out of the ground, thick post for the thing, and wrapped around one of his horses.
So this is like a metal post.
Yes, a thick metal post, and it's ripped around the horse's neck, and the horse is dead. And then this is like, then I guess he's thinking back, like, you'll be sorry. And I guess he is. So that's the first really heartbreaking thing that happens to him there. The next thing, Joyce said she saw some shadowy figures in the house watching her, and they would just be in like the peripheral of her eyes. So it's like as soon as she turned to look, they were gone, and she felt them following her from room to room, and it was really creepy. And So John decides that he's going to start hiding weapons all over the house in convenient spots. And so one night, his wife was snoring, and she woke him up from the snoring. You can make some snoring sounds if you want. Can you do snoring? That's some pitiful snoring you got there.
What's that?
I don't know. It's a cartoon mixed with anyway, so she's snoring, wakes him up, and he's looking in the darkness, and he starts to see some weird sort of swirling sort of shadow figures, and they come out, and he's just racked with fear. And they start moving towards his wife, Joyce. And they start getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden, his fear turns to rage. And he grabs the aluminum baseball bat that he has right beside his bed. And I guess he takes a home run swing at one of these creatures. And it gives off this awful shriek. One of the crows out. So it gives off this awful shriek. And they all kind of disappear after that. And
like disappear, like in thin air? Disappear?
Yeah, in thin air.
Okay, yeah.
They just kind of dissolve into thin air. So he calls the police, and the police, they're more concerned about with the weapons all hidden all over his house instead of like helping him. And I guess this kind of encourages the creatures to kind of stick around. So the family Rottweiler ends up seeing these they're about 4 feet high. They're always traveling in threes, and dark skin, very cold. And so the Rottweiler ends up chasing one of them and bites him.
Oh yeah.
And then they dissolve into thin air again. And but the bad thing is the dog dies, ends up choking to death after that.
I think it was a poison, maybe.
Maybe it's their skin is toxic, or maybe they were invisible and choked him from that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not only that, other dogs did the same thing, and they lost other dogs as well in that 20 years. And we also had horse mutilations. And so John was very concerned for his wife, though, because he felt like she was very afraid, and so he had that very protective. He's a guy that you kind of want on your side if this was going down, right? He seems like that type of guy that you want on your side. And so he was afraid for his wife, but you can only stay awake for so long doing this. And so he was standing by her side while she was sleeping. Standing by her side with a baseball bat while she's sleeping. And I guess he fell asleep. And he woke up to her hovering in the air. with some sort of beam of light coming into the house, kind of like what is it, tractor beam like Star Trek. Um, and so he's freaking out, and he's trying to pull her down. She's not moving. The tractor beam is too strong, and so uh, he he gets his machine gun and goes outside, and he's looking at where this beam of light is coming from, and he starts shooting at this thing, and he's hitting metal, and it seems like it's doing some damage because it goes away and a portal opens up, and the ship or whatever it was, can't say it was a ship, but it went into the portal, and then the portal shut down, and some sort of dark figure went with it, and
then she was okay. She just like kind of
so she just hit the ground.
Yeah.
And so he handcuffed her to the ground, or not to the ground, to the bed every night to make sure that
she wouldn't get abducted. That's interesting. I've never heard that in an abduction story, that someone would handcuff someone to the bed.
You know, in your previous story of the cat keeping your soul in your body, if you would have handcuffed yourself, you wouldn't need a cat.
I feel like if beings are trying to abduct you, they probably have the technology that they can deal with handcuffs.
Yeah, I think.
Like, I don't know if that's going to really help you.
Well,
Maybe.
it's going to stall them enough for him to kind of help.
There's a lot of interesting things going on in the story already. I think that are some things that are different than other encountered stories.
And I'm going to make the tag here.
Wait, can we go across the screen? Okay.
We made the tag.
There was one little detail too that I had a note about. So after he saw the guy with the machete, there was also an instance where there was their phone needed fixing, and the phone company came.
Right.
And the phone repairman, who's outside the house repairing the line or whatever, he didn't come for a long time, and then he worked really fast and wanted to leave right away, and like didn't want to be there. And John asked him why, and the phone repairman said because the ranch is cursed. So he didn't even want to like come do the house call. Like he didn't even want to go there at all. So it's like people already kind of knew.
Well, yeah, he had to launch several complaints to the phone company.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't come for a while. He had to keep phoning them.
And he had to actually do an official complaint for them to finally do what they need to do.
So obviously some things might have happened with the previous owners of the ranch, we can talk about later.
Yeah, we can get into that.
So other things though. So after a lot of those things happen, both John and Joyce start experiencing missing time, which I think we've talked about on other episodes. So the feeling that they all of a sudden realize that like they couldn't remember what just happened in the last 3 hours, or maybe you're sleeping and then, or you're in your room and you're up and you think it's like 5 o'clock, and then you look at your clock and all of a sudden it's like 3 a.m. Like missing a lot of time, like big chunks of time.
Yeah.
They also found marks on their body, what looked like cuts that had been healed over, but they don't ever remember being cut. Like it wasn't something they did to themselves. Sometimes it was on parts of their body that were like really like obscure and like hard to find, like the shoulder blades. And so this matches also like other reports of abduction reports where like people think they have implants on them, so like sometimes they find marks on their body on like cuts, like surgical cuts. Now at this point, John's getting a little bit freaked out, even though he's a tough guy and he hides a lot of weapons around the house and he's good at swinging baseball bats and shooting guns. He does ask the media for help. So this is becoming a little bit of a media sensation. He starts to do some interviews. He has paranormal investigators come to the ranch and look around and interview him and kind of make like an assessment of what's going on. There's another time too where John sees portals open up in the sky and he sees strange craft going in and out, which sounds almost exactly like Skinwalker. That like report matches the same thing. That
I also missed that they saw Sasquatch. Are they called Brillo men?
Yeah.
I also missed that.
What did they
I
call
forgot
them? They
about
had a
that part.
weird word for it. But
Brillo
yeah,
Man.
what are they called? Brillo?
Brillo Man, but they said they're pretty much like Sasquatch.
Yeah, I
And that's
never heard
also
of it.
like Skinwalker Ranch.
That's the same thing, yeah. Also, this isn't even that far from Skinwalker Ranch, is it?
It's one state over.
One state over. But it's that area of America. So that's interesting. Um, and then okay, so eventually, after all this stuff's happened, they do decide to leave the ranch. They give up. You know, they're really kind of sticking it in there. And same as Skinwalker Ranch, right? They want to fix these horses. They want to try to live on this ranch.
Well, these guys make it 20 years though. Like they
They do
really
make it
fought
20
for
years.
it.
That's a long time. So
Yeah.
1996 to about 2016, they finally decided to pack it up. At this point, John claims that he has killed 18 of these creatures.
Wow.
Yeah. But their bodies always disappear. So he never really had much evidence, although there is an instance of him having some evidence. There's a little bit of a media circus around Stardust Ranch. And here's something that might be a little bit suspicious. We could wrestle with it. So the previous asking price for the ranch was $1 million. After all of the media surrounding the paranormal activity and John's story, they're able to sell it for $5 million. So that's interesting. They get a lot more money than it was originally worth. And then, because he made such a media sensation, one of the previous owners, Gina Irons, actually comes out of the woodwork to say that in the 1970s, when she was living there, she also saw ghostly figures. I don't know if it was her husband or like the other people she was living with. They reported that there would be ghostly figures in the room, and when they were in the room, the temperature of the room would drop, and it would get really cold. So I guess maybe when she was living there, she didn't want to make these reports because maybe, she didn't want to sound weird or something like that. But she comes out and reports that. Now, something that I actually watched on YouTube. So Ghost Adventures is a YouTube channel. It's like people who go and investigate.
There's also a show on cable TV, right?
Oh, it's like a real show, yeah. I mean, it's on YouTube. You can watch it too. So the Ghost Adventures film crew, they show up in 2015. They do a whole session there. One of their members actually gets an injury, like a mysterious injury on her arm when she's just like laying in bed, and like she feels really cold, and all of a sudden she has this like bruises on her arm that she can't explain. Now, Ghost Adventures, they claim that from what they experienced, they saw that there was some kind of man haunting the place, and they also said that in their opinion, it was not actually aliens, but demons masquerading as aliens because of their evidence.
Who says that all the time?
And their evidence for this
Who says that all the time?
Is that the figures, the gray and shadowy figures, they retreat when the Ghost Adventurers would say prayers and
scriptures.
Probably use artifacts of the scriptures and stuff like that. So that's their kind of like theory about that.
Yeah, I'm liking those Ghost Adventures. They're on my team.
Well, I actually went and watched some of the footage from that. There was a lot. I didn't watch it all. The girl's name who finds the bruises on her arms, her name's Ashley. Another thing they do is, like you've seen in other videos, is they have one of those like recording devices where they record sounds and they get some voices. So they're trying to ask the spirits, like, what are you? And they get voices back that they say things like, look to the skies. Or that's what it sounds like it says. And they like repeat it and you can hear it. It's like, yeah, it kind of sounds like look to the skies. They also mention plants. Like when they ask them what they are, they mention plant. They mention brown plant gas or something, they say. Like it's weird, these like 3 words that come up. And then there's also one scene that was really kind of freaky if you ever watch it. So there's 3 Ghost Adventure guys. 2 of them are in this living room and one guy's like in this hallway. And the 2 of them in the living room, one of them's on a couch and he's like filming in front of him. And all of a sudden he starts freaking out and you can see him on the screen and he's like, oh my God, what's that? What's that? And he like jumps off the couch and he said that he felt something super cold And actually, his footage, there is this like all of a sudden there's just a light that like it's looking at just like a dark living room, and then all of a sudden this light just like appears, and it like shines really bright. And yeah, and it kind of looks freaky. And the guy gets up out of, and his reaction looks really genuine. Like he
Even
jumps
from your
out.
voice tone, I can tell that it messed with your head.
I like watching those things because some of the things that happen in them, they're like, whoa. Like the voices things, like those sound recorders, sometimes when you hear them, like it's so distorted. I'm like, yeah, I guess that sounds like what you're telling me it sounds like. But sometimes I just think that when I'm watching it, like, you're telling me it sounds like this. Like they're like, oh, listen to this voice. It sounds like he's saying, look to the skies. And then if you keep listening, like, yeah, it does sound like that. But I think it's more like a trick in my brain. You know what I mean? But yeah, that seems.
Side note: there's these. I watched this video of these two cats. You know, they make these weird noises when they fight against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So this one cat, it sounded like he said, "Stop looking at me."
In like a meow.
Like, "Stop looking at me." And the other cat said, "You're doing it too." Like it sounded like they both said that. I was like, "Oh, we should have did." So yeah, you get your point.
You don't have.
You want to hear things. If you want to hear things, you'll hear them.
You don't have that video ready to show us?
No, I don't.
You
We should do stuff like that. We get these. We should start showing videos on here.
Yeah, stay tuned. One episode, we'll finally start showing videos.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
So where was I? Yeah. So the Ghost Adventurers, and also some things from the interview when they're interviewing John. I got to see some footage of John. He seems like such a tough guy. He calls them Greys, like the creatures. He calls them Greys, and they show a lot of scenes of him holding this sword. He has like a sword that he claims that he's killed a lot of them with. He's like, this is the sword I've killed them with. It's like really like intense. But there's this.
Why did he call back that guy who worked? That's what I would have done. You're like, hey man, get back here.
Because John figures he can take care of it himself.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need that guy had a rusty machete. Yeah. Okay, John has like a samurai sword. Like if you watch the videos, like he has this like weird looking samurai sword.
So, just a little side note, he was doing a video as well, talking to somebody on a podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
And some sort of entity kind of poked its head out around the corner.
It's hard to tell what it is. It just looks like a little like gray thing.
Yeah.
Like she said, like the person in like filming it's like, oh, there's 2 or 3 figures. She said there, like grays. But on the video, it all looks like it's just like a little. You can just see a little bit of gray popping into the corner of the screen, and then
that just looked like shadows, and then But yeah, that was interesting.
There's footage in the Ghost Adventurers thing where there's like a doorway, and they show a shadow like go across the doorway, and it really is hard to like explain what that would be. Like it's just a dark shadow that just nobody walks by or anything. There's just a shadow that goes by.
So when he cuts these aliens with his sword, there's this weird sort of break. What was he called? A brake fluid.
Yeah, like
it has like
kind of.
It's like it looks like brake fluid when he cuts them, and so he managed to save some of that and sent to a scientist. You got that part?
Yeah, Dr. Levengood, biologist. So in 2013 he does this. So he gets a sample of it, sends it to this biologist, Dr. Levengood, and when Dr. Levengood does tests on it, he finds DNA that is unlike anything that he could describe. So like DNA that he's unfamiliar with. Also chlorophyll, which is like.
Well, he said similar to chlorophyll.
Similar to chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is like the material, the chemical that plants use to photosynthesize, right? Like to turn.
But also, if you put it on somebody, it'll put them to sleep, right?
It's true. That's interesting. Maybe that's what killed the dog.
And they also found this substance on cow mutilations all over the world.
Yeah. So now, adding to the mystery, what happened to those samples, you ask? That's a good question. Did you ask that?
No, I didn't. But what happened to Dr. Leavenworth?
Even better question.
Yeah.
He dies. His wife dies. Okay? And where are the samples? They're in a lab. There's a fire at the lab, and all of the samples are gone.
So not only does the guy responsible to kind of get this news out to the world, he dies. His wife
And
dies.
his wife dies.
And his wife dies conveniently. But they are 80 in fairness. But still, one of them would have lived a little bit longer, right? For sure. And then there's a fire in the lab. Seems like it's a sabotage.
Right? Now, tying into another episode we did a while ago, 2 weeks after talking to the press, I don't know what year this happened in, but two men come through the ranch. They're dressed in black with dark hats and sunglasses. They appear to John. They approach John. It looks like they walk through the bars of the cattle cages, which is really strange. And they also emit like a strong odor, like a foul odor. And these two individuals tell John that he should stop going to the press, that he shouldn't talk about what's going on at the ranch. So very much like the Men in Black episode we did.
Yeah, that's a strong thing that they said over and over again.
So there's a lot to wrestle with here. This is another one of those all-star paranormal activities.
Yeah, but it's got a different feel to it than the Skinwalker Ranch at the same time, right?
Yeah, there's no mind control or things taking over somebody's mind. There's not as much of the like flying machines or I mean, he did hear humming that one time, which is similar to something that's Skinwalker.
But
what do you think? What do you think about this though? This is the first time I think I've encountered a paranormal report where there's grays or there's some kind of figures, and the human attacks them and claims to kill them. I don't think I've heard of that before. What do you think is going on there? Like, because I don't think they're actually
claiming to kill them,
exactly.
but they're disappearing at the same time.
I don't think he's killing anything.
He thinks he's killing them.
Yeah.
Because I think they're demons, and you can't kill a demon. So
I think it's like they could be projecting something into his mind and making him think, because he really wants to like kill them. So maybe he's just like imagining that, like they're projecting it into his mind or something. Because it's
interesting enough when he hit them with the baseball bat, they shrieked and then disappeared. And like in all of these, when people attack them, they don't really run off. They kind of just take the hit.
I was trying to remember. There's that one story we did where the guy's in the cabin alone, like in winter, and that thing comes through the bottom of the door.
Yeah, he attacked it, and it just let him attack it.
Yeah, but did it shriek? Didn't it like scream?
Yeah, it freaked off after he hit it, though.
Yeah, so that's like sort of similar.
So what I'm saying is, it's like I'm coming at you with the sword. If I'm coming out with your sword, you're running before I have a chance to swing it, right?
You'd think, yeah.
Yeah, these things, they let you hit it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't kind of duck or like run out of the way or anything. They just kind
now
of
when the dog attacks, though, here's the thing: when the dog attacks and bites it, the dog dies, right? So maybe one of their defense mechanisms is that they have some. Maybe that oil is actually like toxic or something, somehow. You know, like if chlorophyll can knock people out, I don't know if somehow that chemical could like maybe be some kind of defense mechanism or something. So maybe they're thinking like it's maybe they think like maybe they don't know that John's sword is actually like separate from his body, and they think like, oh, if we just get the oil on it.
So let's talk about this for a sec. Let's wrestle with this for a sec. So who killed the Leavenworths?
Right.
And who burned down the lab?
The Men in Black, potentially.
The government?
Well, the Men in Black could just be a totally other set of entities that protect other entities. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think it would be like when all of these reports, it doesn't seem to me like these beings, these entities, are that concerned with being hidden or like not having people go to the press. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like they try to hide what they're doing. I mean, maybe because they're always
like I said, we talked about this on another show. It seems like they're doing that almost to become bigger
and maybe even get publicity.
Yeah, to get more publicity. And we
Yeah.
both agreed that it seemed like a reverse psychology sort of thing.
That may be it. But maybe if you go too far, like getting samples of their blood, and maybe that's too far. So then the lab had to be destroyed, and they had to kill the 11 goods. You know, like maybe having actual physical evidence just like too much. That's like crossing the line.
Yeah, but maybe like he suspected the government was involved in this as well.
Yeah. Did he say? I can't remember now. Did he say that he thought he saw craft going in and out of the portals and also government aircraft?
Yes, he thought that's what he said. He thought he saw.
Yeah.
That's
Which
his
would
claims.
kind of make it
So,
seem like the government's somehow involved.
so John Edmonds really believed. Forget what we think, but John Edmonds believed that the government had something to do with this.
Which is also something people at Skinwalker Ranch thought as well. Didn't they have theories that the government could actually be involved, like in some kind of alliance with these beings?
Now, it might not even be an alliance, but just covering up what's going on.
Right.
Because maybe
Yeah.
the human race isn't ready for it yet.
Oh, we're ready. We've got podcasts. What
Yeah,
else
we
do
got
need?
podcasts. Tell us
We
what it
can
is,
wrestle.
man.
We can handle it. We can wrestle with it.
Yeah. You know, me and you, we could actually, be like the ambassadors for this.
Like start a ranch.
No, we could be the ambassadors to reveal to the world what these sort of things that Skinwalker and Stardust Ranch are. We could be like the spokesman.
Yeah.
Who better than the enlightened one and
Who
Craig
better?
Gray? Who
Craig
better?
Gray. Yeah.
Who better?
Do you think people think that because my name's Craig the Gray that I'm somehow on the side of the Grays? Because
Well, let me ask you this: are you?
I'm not condoning abduction of people on like especially not condoned, like, you know, unconsensual abduction. I don't
What about probing? Are you down with the probing?
I don't think unconsensual probing is a nice thing. That's bad. Yeah. Actually, I'm
Consensual
surprised.
probing
I actually think this
is a
is
whole
something
other
to wrestle with. This is something to wrestle with, okay? We've done a lot of shows about aliens and grays or these entities. I don't think we've actually seen a story where people claim to be probed. Have you?
Oh, not yet. I think that's more. I don't know if they even get probed. I think that's more of a
Hollywood thing. I think that
yeah.
Hollywood created that because it's a funny joke, right? Because it's kind of like sick, raunchy humor. I don't think that there's much like if you actually study paranormal encounters, I've yet to see one where someone claimed.
Now, if you know something in the comments, if you know something that we don't know about this, then feel free to mention in the comics in the comments.
In the comics, if you have comics.
Yeah, we have comics. Yeah, feel free in the comments to mention what you know about probing. Maybe
if you're a probee,
a probee. If you have been probed, we want you on the show.
we'll interview you, and we'll promise.
Tell us all about your probe.
Yeah, and we'll promise to be very serious about it, and we won't make any jokes.
Yeah.
But I'm debunking that right now. I think that's a myth made up by Hollywood. I don't actually think there's any probing going on. Maybe maybe surgery and like implants, sure. That's been reported, you know. But yeah.
And another common thing that we notice is that the animals take a lot worse than humans in this as well.
Yeah, here's something. Why is it always ranches? We've had 2 ranches now. What's up with ranches? Why are ranches so special?
I don't know. Maybe it's because
I think it's because of the animals.
The animals, the open space.
But it never happens in like an apple orchard.
That's true.
No, there's no aliens mutilating somebody's apples.
Who wrecked my apples?
So yeah, I think something to do with animals because they're mutilating these poor horses. So this ranch is just horses,
cows, whatever, right?
These cows,
Dogs.
Dogs taking the brunt. But again, like we commented before, no humans actually get hurt in this story.
You know what I notice? There's no cats involved in this.
Yeah.
Ever. Cats are
That's
getting
true.
off scot-free. So what's going on there?
I
Is
bet you
there a
cats.
connection between the cats and the entities?
I wanted to do a show on cats, and you said it wasn't paranormal enough. I think we should do a show on cats. There's something going on with
I
cats.
am lying. Don't even go on down this rabbit trail. I'm just messing with you. Cats have
I
nothing to do
think
with it.
if you think cats are paranormal enough to do a show about cats, leave it in the comments. They can see ghosts. If you ever lived with a cat, they definitely see ghosts. They see something,
Oh yeah,
and there's
cats
nothing there.
definitely have a sort of a different sense and stuff than us.
Do you think dogs can see things we can't see?
I think dogs can as well. You always see that sort of
Well,
thing.
they can like smell. They have a heightened sense of smell. And if some of these beings put off like a strange odor,
Oh yeah, it's going to be
Right.
like setting off alarms with them.
yeah,
So, yeah, like this is definitely very interesting. Do you believe them?
watching the video, like I saw him speaking, and I mean, he seems really sure of himself. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who's like a con artist or a shyster. It is suspicious that the ranch sold for so much more than they paid.
Yeah, but wouldn't you try to get as much as possible?
It's true. And like people
Like
always
if
think
people are like, if you are selling it for 1 million and you're getting different offers, and you're like, well, someone just offered us 1.5, and then they're like, well, we'll give you 2, and then you're gonna wait. Well, wait a second, who's gonna offer me 2.5? Right? The offers are gonna go up and up, and you're gonna take it because you're smart.
yeah. And people often think that because they sold the ranch for more, that maybe that's the reason they might have made up the story. But here's the thing: the story could have really happened, and it causes a media sensation, and it's not their fault that the media gets involved, and then it attracts attention to the farm, and then it's worth more money. That's not their fault, and of course you're going to make more money off of the situation, right? Why wouldn't you? Right? He's lost
Well,
a bunch of
also,
horses.
I feel like they might have earned that money from 20 years of this bullshit.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like they deserve something for their trouble, right? So good for them that they got the $5 million, and hopefully they don't get followed to their next place. That's the one thing I was wondering: are these Men in Black coming to their new place or their old place?
I don't know. I think from Skinwalker Ranch and then this one, I think that these visitations are based on the location, right? Not necessarily haunting the people, but I think it's haunting the location. Because previous owners will have problems and it's more about the actual place.
No, but you know what I was saying? They kind of jumped the gun when they were telling the story to us in our source, where they were saying, and then they moved out, and then they later on they mentioned that the Men in Black came. So I was trying to figure out, did the Men in Black come to their new house,
Oh, I see what you mean. Right.
or while
I
it was
assumed
there?
it was right before they sold it because he'd gone to the press. That's what I thought. But
Well,
you're
who
right. It
knows?
wasn't exactly clear. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly believe it. I think that the fact that the former owner from the 70s verified the story.
Mhm.
The fact that the Leavenworths died for this, and you know there's a fire, and um, the interesting thing is, um, they could have just covered it up and said replaced it with some other goo. So I don't know, like.
It's a bit extreme to kill them and blow up the lab. Although that happens in the first episode of the X Files. If you remember, they have
Interesting that
samples.
maybe X Files they copied it. Wait a
No,
second. What do we
it's
do
the
here?
other way around.
Television?
X Files is like mid '90s, and this happens.
Yeah, I know.
In
What
like
I'm saying is that
2000s.
the people they're like, well, what did we do with the
Yeah.
Leavenworth? They're like, well,
Let's
what
do, like,
happened
the
on
first
X Files? We'll see what they did on there. Oh, let's
That's
copy
right.
them. Yeah, let's
That's true. That's true.
And if they are aliens, are they watching some of our shows?
I think so. I think there's a vicious circle these entities, which I do like more reports I read about it, I think that they can change their shape and like appear whatever they want. I think they're being inspired by the horror movies and the like science fiction movies.
Well, yeah, like
Shows.
yeah, that's why I think it's demons, because they're using the power of our imagination,
Right.
because we create, right? They don't create, we create, and then they steal it.
And since there's already horror movies and science fiction shows where aliens look scary to us, then what they do is they use that and they use their fear against us. It's like, oh, this is something you're scared of. I'm going to appear like this thing that you're scared of, which would explain why, like more medieval stories of encounters with things are more like demonic looking and more like that's what people used to be scared of, was like a demon with wings or something like that, right? Or like a monster, like a boogeyman or something.
And if they are demons, they don't want us thinking they're demons, because what are we going to do? We're going to go pray to God, right?
Right.
We're going to go to church. We're going to become religious. And they don't want that, because that's their kryptonite. So if we think they're aliens, we're powerless against them, right?
Wow.
So that's what I think.
That's also a good question. What is the weapon against aliens?
Probe.
No. A taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, I think this.
John tried a baseball bat, machete, sword,
Yeah,
assault
a
rifle.
rusty machete.
I think the only movie I can think of is War of the Worlds.
Yes, they
where
they died of the flu. That was awesome.
Flu. All the aliens died from the flu.
Yeah, I like that.
Put it in the comments if you know. How do you fight grays? What do you do? Is there a remedy?
Black jelly beans.
They're also really short, so
yeah, 4 feet tall.
Just step on them.
Kick them.
Just kick them.
Punt them.
Has anybody just tried that? Just kick them in.
Oh, that's funny. We're laughing and making fun of the aliens / demons.
But yeah, pretty good, interesting story. If you want to watch, you can look up Ghost Adventures, and you can look up Stardust Ranch, and there's some footage there on YouTube.
And yeah, I'm sure you can also find it on your cable package, Ghost Hunters. But I don't even know which episode it was, so probably better off doing what Craig said. Yeah, so we have the new purple Wrestling with the Paranormal shirt.
Looks amazing.
Do you think we should do a black one as well?
I don't know.
Eventually, maybe a black, gray, purple, all the colors of the show.
It doesn't take a lot of effort to make a new color of the shirt.
No, it's just clicking. I would also like a black one.
Which you get your assistant to do, because that sounds like a lot of work.
Oh yeah, I can't be doing stuff like that. I got stuff to do, man.
That makeup girl to do that.
The makeup girl's mad at me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she's mad at me. I was dating her sister. She didn't like that.
With the wig girl?
What?
Because your sister does the wigs.
The makeup girl and the wig girl are the same girl.
People don't know this, but under the hat, I'm actually wearing like a $600 wig.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the whole effect,
So get yourself a Wrestling with the Paranormal shirt. Go to effingwrestling.com and follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. The links are all there on effingwrestling.com. So I just want to say, hit the remind button, the little bell,
right.
And hit subscribe. We're up to 709 subscribers now, so thank you very much for that. We are
on the road to 1K.
It seems like only like a month and a half ago we had 50 subscribers.
Yeah, well, we got that big boost. On the way to 1K, that's what I say.
Yes, we are on the way to 1K. You want to say your line?
You got the outro ready? Okay, you ready this time? And remember, keep on wrestling paranormal.